Welcome to Chatting Shit with Ostique, the podcast where we chat about shit with inspirational people from all walks of life. Today we are joined by the wonderful Jess Bruno, and we hope that you enjoy this conversation. Jessica, welcome to Chatting Shit with Ostique.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm very excited to have this conversation. To begin with, I thought perhaps you could introduce yourself and tell us how you came to have your stoma.
Oh my god, yeah, my favourite story ever. So I'm Jess. I am a self-employed marketing girly. I help small business owners make incredible marketing for their small businesses online. And about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and then my IBD got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it actually was a thing that made me go self-employed. Like, before work from home was even a thing. Like, I just got so ill that I worked like a really high touch, like in-person marketing thing. And I just, work from home wasn't a thing. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to quit and work out something. And I had like literally no money, like 20p to my name. And I was just like, this shit has to happen. 2019. And then the pandemic happened and I moved in with my mum and I started my own business. And that's kind of, and then a couple of years later, I had to get a stoma because my Crohn's got so, well, my misdiagnosed Crohn's, when they took out my bowel, they're like, oh, actually it's ulcerative colitis.
Oh, wow. Ugh. They made a mistake.
They made a big mistake. I love the NHS so much. Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for investing in me. But also, like, I wish you diagnosed ulcerative colitis in the beginning because I would have had this bowel taken out straight away.
So were you familiar just generally kind of with the conditions or like IBD and the outcomes that could have occurred?
Not pre-diagnosis. Yeah.
And you did a lot of research around that, presumably, or you just kind of went with the flow?
I was 22 when I was diagnosed. I just thought I had really bad hangovers. Genuinely. Genuinely.
Wow. Okay. And before you got to having your stoma, I know that you have previously kind of talked about some kind of addictions to chronic pain relief.
Yeah.
And I was wondering whether or not you would, talk about that in the sense of kind of the signs to watch out for and kind of perhaps how that evolved.
Oh my God, yeah, of course. So, diagnosed at 22, and they put me on all the standard starter medication like Pentasa, and I got to the point when nothing was working. I was on steroid treatment all the time, and I was getting IV infliximab as well. And it just wasn't working. And from my many hospital stints, I found glorious medication, Oromorph and Cocodamol. And I was like, that's the only thing that works. So I'm just going to take that. Fuck off, guys. See you later. And can I swear?
Yes. Okay. Yes. You can.
Because I was young. I was in my 20s. And I was like, look, all this medicine you've got me on isn't working. You're saying I've got this incurable forever disease. I just want to go have a laugh with my mates. So I'm going to self-medicate with codeine and make myself really constipated all the time. And this is going to be my life. And that's how I got addicted to codeine and morphine, and how I was able to like trick the system and putting it on a repeat prescription for me. And I say, on the flip side of it, everyone listening to this podcast will understand, I have very moderate to severe IBD. And so my pain was constant and aggressive and, oh my God, like unfathomable now I look back on it. And I'm like, I don't think I could even go back in time and speak to 20-year-old Jess and be like, babe, don't do it. It's not worth it. Because I'd be like, nah, this is what you have to do in this moment of time. You're going to have to go through this period. Because I could not survive. But unfortunately, these pain medications that I was on caused addiction. And some days I would just take them because I would just take them for the fun of it. Or I'd start having a syringe of morphine before I'd go out for an event. And then it got to a point where I needed to have codeine and morphine to like live on a day-to-day basis. And it got to a breaking point in 2020 when I'd moved in with my mum, and I had such severe constipation that I had to be hospitalized. And I was like, my IBD is the other way around. I'm the flavor of like going to the toilet 40 times a day and just shitting out my life. That's my style when I'm in flare. So constipation, I hadn't ever thought as a bad thing, but they were like, no, your inflammation levels are through the roof. We need to like pump you with all these what's it called? The stuff that makes you shit.
Laxatives.
Yeah, they gave me the strongest laxatives ever. I did a big poo and it was happy all around, but they were like, you seriously need to stop taking codeine and morphine on a regular basis and only take it when you need it. Yeah.
Do you think that perhaps, if they had a clearer picture of your diagnosis, that perhaps you could have got to having a stoma sooner?
1,000%. If they initially told me it was ulcerative colitis and not Crohn's, and told me that it only affects your large colon, and if we take that out, you're cured, I would have had it straight away, because my IBD was so severe. And I understand in some cases ulcerative colitis can be medicated and you can live a long, happy life with it. That was not my case. I had a horrendous ulcerative colitis, debilitating, painful, and I wish I wasn't misdiagnosed. My specialist in London, who I just missed a call from, soz, but he really wanted to speak to who I got, the doctor that diagnosed me, to understand like how we came to the conclusion of Crohn's, because I'd been on this 10-year journey. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pleased that you are no longer in pain, and that recognition of addiction and the strength to overcome it. Do you think that strength that you that the recognition of like there's a problem, has that generally helped you in life kind of overcome other hurdles that you have faced, like having your stoma surgery?
I think using the word, for me, overcome an addiction, I think I'm always going to be addicted to it. I don't think it's something I can ever overcome, but it's something that I'm learning to control. Because I still have quite high pain days because I've only had half the surgery. So I've still got like the active inflammation in my rectum. And that still causes me fatigue, pain, and daily bleeding, which has made me very anemic. And that has its whole ballpark, right? So when I have a high pain day, or even when I have a stress day, sometimes I will have a blip and I will take over the counter cocodamol. I would never go and get prescribed it now, but unless I'm hospitalized for another thing. But yeah, I wouldn't say the word overcome when it comes to my relationship with opioids. I would just say it's a daily battle that I fight it every day. It's got much better since having the stoma back. It's like I woke up from my stoma surgery and I said, I feel like 16-year-old. This is incredible. And my relationship with codeine drastically changed because my level of pain was drastically lower. But because of the 10 years of abuse, it's always going to be there for me, unfortunately.
I can understand that though. And like you said, it's not necessarily that it goes away, but it's that the recognition, and as you said, managing that in sort of daily life. And some days are harder than others. And interestingly, how has your life changed since having your stoma? You've just mentioned that you felt like a 16-year-old, and that you still do have painful days. But as a general, how has your life changed?
I'm the bag makes me disabled, but I say I'm a human now. I was disabled before. I do not feel like I live with a disability at all, even though I've got a bit of my intestine sticking out my body and I walk around with a bag of shit on my bum, like my stomach. Like, I do not. Yes, some bad things happen. Yes, I will burst in public. Yes, as I explained, all the other symptoms that I'm still living with. But as I said, I woke up from my surgery like epidural to the gods, and I was just like, I feel like a different person. You have chemically changed me. And my surgeon was like, that's something we hear really commonly because we've taken out the thing that was causing you all this grief.
I'm very pleased to hear that that was such a positive experience for you in that regard. And I actually, so when kind of looking at some of the wonderful things that you've been doing, you've also done a lot of podcasts and had have really looked at others, kind of whether it's chronic conditions or other general life conditions that people are dealing with, whether that's ADHD, endometriosis, psoriasis, kind of also shining a light on these other areas. I wonder whether there's been sort of any commonality or theme from your experience and these other conditions that have really kind of helped you deal with things and kind of spread that awareness and joy.
It's gorgeous conversations that I'm so privileged to have, and I'm like so happy that I created this space to have these conversations. So I speak with women in business with chronic illness, and I ask them what their day-to-day looks like, and there are some commonalities. So I ask them, did you start your business because of your chronic illness? And every person that I've spoken to said yes. It had a huge factor in why they started their business. And that to me shows how the muggle world, and when I say muggle, Harry Potter reference to people that don't have wizard powers, the muggle world still is very ableist. Still having a chronic illness is very taboo. And the reason why I have these conversations as well is because in the start of my business, I was so poorly. I really couldn't hide my pain, and I didn't want to. I wanted to talk about it so I could have more conversations with people about it, because I felt so alone in it. And so I put a poll up on my story. Do you remember we could do like A/B polls in Instagram stories? And I said, and I had very humble, like I think like 300 followers at that point. Not that I'm like millions now, but they had like a humble following. And I said, would you still take me seriously as a business owner if I started talking about my chronic illness more, my day-to-day? Would you still want to work with me? And I put that up for a day. And honestly, my ego was like, everyone's going to say yeah. Like, go you. Woo, woo, woo. No. It was a 50-50 split. 50-50. And it had loads of people voting on it for me. And I was like, damn, okay. That's scary. Maybe I can't talk about this stuff. Maybe it is going to make people not want to work with me. Because especially at that point, I was very direct to consumer, direct to client. I didn't work with businesses in that kind of sense. And I was like, damn, people are really not going to work with me. But I had to sit and I had to think, is what's going to be more painful for me? Hiding it or talking about it? And I went with talking about it. And I'm so happy that I chose that, because I couldn't ignore it anymore. And it's really helped me, business words, do great lead qualifying. So when someone comes to work with me, they instantly can see that I'm an advocate for chronic pain and for women in business with chronic pain, because I have conversations with them all the time. And if they're not into that, they don't come to my space, and that's fine. Every time I post a picture of myself with my stoma out, I lose like 10, 15 followers. Not the biggest number. I'm not hemorrhaging people. But for me, it's a drastic drop. And again, another similarity, when I've spoken to women in business with chronic illness, they'll say the same thing. They're scared to talk about it, but they can't not, because it's a huge part of them. So that's another thing that's been common.
That's really interesting, and something I wanted to touch on is your socials, because obviously so much, and I do want to talk about some of your fantastic initiatives. But before we get there, like your social media, you have a sprinkling and littered, pre-surgery, post-surgery, talking about your bag. And aside from losing, these 10 followers, because your page brings so much joy and positivity, when you have had that negativity, I wonder, beyond just people losing following, have you experienced that? And like, what is the best way that you have dealt with that? Because you are vivacious and so positive.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Do you know what? I love when people say that about me, because I really do try to be like, I try and be so happy and energetic. And I always say it's because, as you probably know, I spent so much of my life in pain in the hospital. I ain't got time. If I've got the energy, I'll give it, And so that's kind of what I do with my socials as well. Have there been trolls? Yes. Have there been people who make nasty comments every time I post about it? Yes. Do I lose people in my community? Yes. Like, there is people that I've had conversations with that think I'm gross and they'll leave, and I get really surprised about that. I'm like, honestly, it's a social media thing, right? And this is kind of on a spectrum, but you could do a post that has like 30 likes, everyone's really happy with it, and you'll get one comment, one nasty comment, and that'll ruin your whole day. And I'm not sure if you've ever experienced that on your page.
I've experienced it on a page and also in life. You know, you can have lots of people tell you lovely things, but that's the one comment where somebody says something not that nice. Everything else kind of pales into significance, and maybe that's the wrong focus, but it does have an impact.
It does. It really does. And instead of trying to ignore it and being like, I don't care about this, I do really care about it, and I have to lean into it, and I have to think about it, and I have to then... I get a bit sassy with it, I'm not going to lie. Like, someone asked me, like, they were like, oh, I feel so sorry for you. Like, how do you have sex with that? And so I did a video replying to it with, like, the most outrageous conversation. Like, I was like, right, first of all, I've got to put on a hazmat suit. Next, I've got to get in this bed chamber. It's provided by the NHS. And then we have to do 3 circles and stand on my head. And then we can have sex for like 5 minutes, and then I go. And that's how you have sex with a stoma. And I said it really seriously, replying to that comment. And that's kind of how I want to deal with it now. If someone's like, if someone doesn't like it, says something really mean, I try my best to like have fun with it. But previously, I would get really down about it, and I'd just delete it and hide it and have a little cry because it's just normal. But now I'm like, I don't care, mate. I do care, but like, I want to, let me use that. Like, thank you for the engagement. Like, let me just like run with it.
And I think that's really powerful. I mean, the sprinkling of humor is always, you know, people deal with things differently, but actually having that sprinkling of humor that says, like, I'm not going to take myself so seriously. Yes. But actually, there's a big educational point to that as well, because for everybody who, or for those that are negative about it, you're also like educating other people and making them think.
Yeah.
So I think that's really wonderful. Yeah. And then just to kind of allow kind of to shed kind of some light on a bit more of your business and some of the initiatives you're doing, and whether or not they were inspired again by your background and what's happened. And I would assume yes, because so much of what everybody does, you are, you know, through your learnings in life, but you know, the Watch Us Grow initiative, which is brilliant, and they're done with you. All really powerful statements. And I wonder, does your background link to those? And if you want to kind of just talk a little bit about those initiatives.
Yeah. So when I started my business, I've got 10 years in marketing. I've got 10 years background in it. And I started my business because all of my friends, I was sick. And then all my friends were like, can you look at this Instagram post for me? Because it was in the pandemic and everyone started a brownie business. Everyone started the resin business. Like, it was popping off. And my friends were coming to me because they knew what I did in my previous job. And my mum looked at me and she was like, Jess, I really reckon you could charge for that. I was like, you're having a laugh, mate. I had no idea I could charge for this kind of stuff, but I did. And that's kind of where I grew my business. But one thing I've always had to do because of my body, because I started my business on the toilet. I started my business at the height of my illness and whilst I was going to the toilet 40 plus times a day. And so I would literally be on the toilet, then on my laptop, on the toilet, on my laptop. And I was like hustling as hard as I could. And I was like, this is not sustainable. This is not, I can't. Like, then I was like, what? I can't just like, yes, my brain and my fingers are working normally, but that doesn't mean that I should spend all of my waking hours like with clients and on trying to make money. Like, it's insane. So everything I do is rooted in sustainability, and that's not there's anything wrong with it, but that's not eco-green sustainability. It's creating longevity and working with what you've got. And when you've got it, flaunt it. When you don't, hold on to it, is my whole method. And so the way I work with people and small business owners, I feel like everyone's got a secret chronic illness that they don't talk about anyway. Like, I feel like we're quite a sickly community. sickly community. And so when I bring people in my world, I'll say, like, how much time have you got? And they'll always say they've got more time than they have. And I'm like, right, well, maybe you've got kids, maybe you've got this, maybe you've got that. We all have things in our life that have to take precedence. And like, our business is so important, but it can't be everything. So I create sustainable schedules and sustainable content schedules to help them show up as like their authentic selves with what they've got. And that's everything behind my programs, from my group program, Watch Us Grow, which is like a 90-day group where I just got, all I need from you is an hour and a half a week, and we're going to make fucking magic happen. And I don't ask for any more than that. And then I've got the Content Club, which is my membership, which is, sorry, my phone's ringing, which is group coaching every Friday, plus like done for you templates and captions. And I've got my one-to-one, which is done with you, not done for you, because I ain't got enough energy to do it for you. I just don't have that in my life. But I believe with small business owners, especially in the beginning, you can't hand over your stuff to a social media agency or someone that's just really good at Canva, because you can't even tell them who your target audience yet, which is why I do done with you. And I only work with people on a minimum of a 6-month basis, unless that's one-to-one. My group and my membership is different, but that's hammering home the sustainability and the longevity of businesses and how my body works. And I make it so your business works how your body works.
That's magic. That is magic. I love that. Also, you're right. I think, small business owners, there's nobody who knows your business better than you.
No one.
The tone of voice, like what you're trying to say and how you're trying to say it is so personal. Sometimes agencies, they don't live and breathe it the way a business owner does.
No, they don't. And if they tell you otherwise, they're selling you something. I'm selling you something as well, but like, it's different. I'm not selling you a playbook that they're using for all of their other businesses. Like, they will have very generic spaces and places that they'll implement into your business as well, which will work for the big businesses who can hand over exactly, this is my target audience, this is what's worked well in the past, this is our ad revenue, go. Small business owners can't do that. You don't have that. So that's why I work with you to like realize what that is, but on your time and at your capacity.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very cool.
I love it.
And I love the fact that you started your business I don't love the fact that it was at the height of your illness. I don't love that at all. But then, like, even in kind of that dark moment, you saw some light. And also you mentioned that your mum really kind of helped spur you on.
Yeah.
And I wonder, how has kind of the support from kind of family and friends and lovers helped you on kind of your stoma journey? And I know that you've named your stoma.
I have.
And whether that's kind of your sprinkling of humor, but also a coping mechanism alongside support.
Yeah, support is a big one for me. And I think a conversation that I'm wanting to have, another initiative that I'm wanting to start, is running a business is really lonely, but running a business with a chronic illness is even lonelier. Because, and I don't know about you, but from being ill, I've had to let people down last minute multiple times in my life. Sorry, I can't come. Sorry, I can't come. But I still want to be invited, And I have one friend outside of business. Now I've got a gorgeous online community that I've created. But it would be kind of weird if I called them up wanting like best friend advice, and like telling them about how annoyed I am at my washing, like, or whatever. They wouldn't want that from me. They might, but that's not what I'd want them for. I'd want a friendship group for that. And I find that my friendship group is my one true, I've got other friends out there, but I've got one true friend that I've known since I was 4 years old. And then I've got my family. So she is like my family anyway. But it's been really hard to hold on to friendships whilst growing a business. And business owners, like they say, it's lonely at the top because you're investing so much of your time in this and your clients and everything. But I think running a business with a chronic illness just amplifies that. And so I'm very lucky because I've got a gorgeous, like, I've got my partner who's been very supportive of me from day one. He was with me when I was in employment and always championed me to start my own business, but I didn't recognize what that was until my mum was like, you can charge for that. I've got his family, I've got his parents, I've got my family. I had my mum passed, unfortunately, and I had my mum passed in February. I had my stoma operation in October, so she never met Stomy, but she would have loved her.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
to hear that.
Rough year.
And
Mental year.
it's unimaginable.
Yeah.
I can't say I know how you feel, or me saying I'm sorry, I'm not sure that's helpful, but to have come through such adversity of that year and to be this shining light, and you are absolutely a shining light, kudos to you, Jess. And it's really wonderful to hear that you do have a support system.
Yeah.
But actually, interestingly, when we have had other conversations, there is this theme of when you have been unwell, that you have to cancel last minute, and you let people down, and then eventually people stop asking. And that's really tough. And for anybody else kind of going through that, do you have any advice as to how to kind of deal with that? Because that's a lot when also you're feeling so unwell.
Yeah, I think it's a wider conversation, and it's like it's going to have to be put into like the marketing of everyday life for the message to be hammered home. And I think I've just started having this conversation with people, and the way that I want to help is I want to start a campaign called please like keep inviting me, or like don't like forget me not kind of thing, that I want to be sunk in to the muggle brains and to the chronic illness world brains. So because I've had conversations with people who are the non-inviters, and they say, well, I don't want to invite you, and I don't want to make you feel bad about not coming. That's what they say. And I'm like, I get it, but like, no, we need to stop doing that. Invite them, but know that they might cancel on your last minute, and love them unconditionally. So I don't have any advice on it, but I do want to make this a big campaign. It's on my bingo card for this year. I think I'm going to like hold a big sign up in Trafalgar Square, like, and be like, please keep inviting me, or something like that. I don't know the wording just yet, but that's how I think we can have change, is if we ingrain a really like massive marketing campaign around it.
I think you're right, because I think people don't necessarily know. It's, for the most part, probably very unintentional.
Always.
But it has a very personal, and it feels probably much more intentional than anybody is intending.
Yeah, and if you stop inviting me, like, I wasn't even invited to someone's wedding once, and I thought I considered them a really, really good friend, and I was so hurt by that. But they didn't invite me because they thought I wouldn't be able to come anyway. And I probably wouldn't have been able to come anyway. But like, it really hurts on the other side.
Did you say anything in that situation?
No, of course not. I don't think anyone. I generally don't believe many say something in that situation, which is why a bigger message, like a slogan we could use, which I think that could really help. I need it. I know I need it.
I think that's a very powerful,
maybe we could do something together.
Message. We would love
Yeah,
to,
we should.
because I do think that's really powerful. And as I said, I think for a lot of people it's not intentional, but then that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether you mean it or not. Sometimes it doesn't really matter. The desired or the effect is still somebody feeling sadness, and nobody's trying to do that. So it's just recognizing that our actions have consequences.
Yeah.
Like, more generally. I think kind of as a final thought then, because that's a really powerful message that I hope we can help you with. As a general, and something that we kind of do ask everybody, is what would you say to somebody who has surgery coming up, like what can they expect or what should they be aware of, and just like some general advice?
It was the best day of my life. And it was honestly the best day of my life. My surgery was emergency surgery. Like I got to breaking point and they were like, okay, Jess, we'll take it out. But like, pack a bag of cozy stuff if you know it's coming up. If you don't know it's coming up or you're sickly, like have a bag of cozy stuff anyway, ready to go. When you wake up and you see the bag, you're going to be shocked. But hopefully, if it all goes well, which usually it does, I had some complications and had to stay in the hospital a bit longer, but your life is going to completely change and you're going to be miles away from where you are right now. Like, I would be the poster girl for stomas everywhere. I am so obsessed with mine. I love mine so much. And I reckon in my grand scheme of things, the best days of my life will be having my stoma surgery, getting married, starting my business. And I'm not married yet, but I'm going to put in that there.
Vision board. Yeah. If your partner's listening, vision board.
Oh, it's fine. He's down. He's down.
Amazing. You are amazing. This has been a really positive and powerful conversation. I feel like my cheeks are hurting from smiling, and through everything that you've gone through, like from one person to another, you should be very proud.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. And I hope that we can do something together.
No, I'm 100% serious about this. We should start the Forget Me Not campaign.
Forget Me Not. Watch this space, yes. Everybody. Forget Me Not. Amazing. Thank you so much, Jess.
Thanks, babe.
Bye.
Have you seen the new Ostique skins yet? Ostique skins are revolutionary ostomy pouch covers that were created to make the wearer feel confident, sexy and powerful in all of life's moments. From moments of intimacy to lounging by the pool, conquering a workout or simply heading out to lunch, skins have you covered. Even better, they're compatible with all major colostomy and ileostomy bags. Ostique skins are available in a range of colours and skin tones, and they're made from a revolutionary material that's completely waterproof, high quality, soft and comfortable. Skins are easy to use, even with reduced dexterity, and they work with both closed and drainable bags. Plus, skins are also environmentally friendly and vegan. There are 4 bundles available to buy now, and you can also purchase individual skins. Head to ostique.co.uk to find out more.